You want to know the secret to retiring early? I am talking about walking away from the 9 to 5 grind while your friends are still stuck in traffic. Imagine sipping coffee at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday while they're in endless Zoom meetings. Sounds too good to be true. Right. That's exactly what the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early, is all about. And trust me, once you understand how it works, you'll never look at money the same way again. But here's the catch. It's not magic, and it's not a lottery-ticketed strategy. Patience, and some bold moves. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know the roadmap people are actually using to break free from the paycheck cycle. And I promise, you won't want to miss what's coming next. So, let's start with the obvious question. What exactly is FIRE? No, it's not about setting your bank account on fire, though for some of us that already feels accurate. FIRE is about saving and investing so aggressively that you can quit your job decades earlier than normal. We're not talking retiring at 65. We're talking 50, 40, even 30s in some cases. Sounds wild, but real people are doing it. And no, they're not all millionaires or tech geniuses. They're regular folks who decided they wanted freedom more than a fancy lifestyle. Here's where it gets spicy most. People think retiring early means living like a monk, never eating out, cutting every coffee, and sewing your own socks. And yes, some hardcore FIRE people do that. But the movement isn't just about cutting expenses. It's about designing the life you actually want. Think about it. What if instead of climbing the corporate ladder for decades, you spent your prime years traveling, building a business you love, or just having time for family? That's the promise of FIRE. But how do you actually get there? That's where the real fun begins. The foundation of FIRE is simple. Spend less, earn more, and invest the difference. Easy to say, hard to do, right? Let's break it down. First, expenses. If your monthly spending is sky high, FIRE will be a dream that never gets off the ground. The trick is cutting costs in a way that doesn't feel like torture. Forget cutting your daily coffee if it makes you happy. Go for the big wins. Housing, transportation, food. Live in a place that doesn't eat up your whole paycheck. Drive something affordable instead of flexing in a car you can't afford. And cook more meals at home. Suddenly you've freed up hundreds, maybe thousands, every month. And those dollars aren't just savings, they're future freedom tickets. But saving alone won't make you free. You also need to grow your income. And this is where most FIRE stories get exciting. People take side hustles, freelance gigs, online businesses, or level up their careers to supercharge their cash flow. Every extra dollar isn't for buying more stuff, it's fuel for your FIRE plan. That's why people say the FIRE movement isn't about being cheap. It's about being intentional. You stop spending on things that don't matter so you can spend on the one thing that matters most, your time. Okay? So you're saving. You're earning. But here's the key piece. Investing. You don't just stick your cash in a savings account and hope for the best. FIRE folks are obsessed with investments that grow steadily over time. Index funds, ETFs, real estate, sometimes businesses. The goal? Build a portfolio big enough that it works for you, so you don't have to. And here's where numbers matter. Most FIRE followers live by what's called the 4% rule. Basically, if you save up 25 times your annual expenses, you can safely withdraw 4% per year and never run out of money. For example, if you spend $40,000 a year, you need about $1 million invested. Sounds scary, sure. But think about this. Every dollar you save now brings that finish line closer. Now, here is the cliffhanger. What nobody tells you about FIRE is that it is not just about money. Retiring early can be amazing, but it can also be boring. Imagine waking up tomorrow with no job, no schedule, just endless free time. Sounds good for a week. Then what? Many FIRE veterans admit the biggest challenge isn't financial, it's finding purpose. That's why the smartest FIRE followers don't just retire from something, they retire to something. A passion project, a business they control, creative work, volunteering, traveling, building something meaningful. That's the real juice. FIRE gives you the freedom to choose, but you need a plan for what to do with that freedom. And let's sprinkle in some reality checks, because not everything about FIRE is sunshine and beaches. High inflation, unexpected health costs, market crashes, these can all hit your plan hard. That's why flexibility is crucial. Some people do lean fire, living super frugally to retire earlier. Others aimed for fat fire, stacking a bigger cushion so they can retire comfortably with plenty of margin. There's also barista fire, where you retire from your main career but still pick up part-time or passion-based work to cover some expenses. The point is, fire isn't one size fits. You design it to fit your life. Now, here's where it gets funny. People outside the fire movement think you're nuts. What do you mean you want to work until you're 65 like the rest of us? Or, so you're eating beans forever. But the truth is, fire people often live better lives even before they retire, because they're not trapped by lifestyle creep. They don't need to buy the latest gadgets to look successful, because real success is freedom. And, honestly, that is something worth laughing about. People think you weird until suddenly you retired at 40 and they asking for your secrets. Alright, let's hit a little mental exercise. Think about your monthly expenses right now. What if you cut them by just 20%? Could you live with that? Now imagine investing those savings every month for 10 years. That's not just a little extra, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars in future freedom. The crazy part, small habits over time create massive results. Fire isn't about giant lottery wins, it's about steady, boring, consistent moves that eventually look like magic. And here's the thing, don't have to go full hardcore fire to benefit. Even if you never retire at 40, the habits you build along the way make you financially stronger. Less stressed and more in control. What's better than knowing you could walk away from your job if you wanted to? That's called foo money. And trust me, it feels good. Fire gives you the option. And in life, options are everything. So, where do you start? First, track your spending. You can't change what you don't measure. Second, cut the big costs that eat your paycheck. Third, look for ways to boost your income. It's way easier to save when you earn more. And fourth, invest in assets that actually grow, not things that lose value the second you buy them. Do that consistently. And suddenly this crazy idea of retiring early starts looking very possible. Now, let me leave you with this: what's scarier? Working a job you don't love for the next 30 years, or making some sacrifices now to buy back decades of your life? That's the real choice. Fire isn't about money, it's about freedom, control, and designing the life you actually want. And if you're still here, you're already ahead of 90% of people. Well, never even think about this stuff. So, hit that subscribe button. It won't retire you early, but it will keep me from retiring as a broke YouTuber deal.